Hello and welcome to my video. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. I'm so glad that we get to connect right now because the message that I'm going to be giving you today is going to be a good one. And it's something that I've been wanting to talk about, and I feel like I have talked about it, but not in the scale that I want to. And so I wanted to talk about how I'm a reflection of you. And if you are hearing that term for the first time, that might sound a little bit like what do you mean? You don't look like me. Not on that scale. But when I say that I'm a reflection of you, what that basically means is how you view me is how you view yourself. I am just you in a different body. We are all from the same, we all contain the same energy. We are all from the same source. We are just in different bodies. We are the same consciousness, the same energy consciousness, but in different 3D forms, experiencing different things. And so, what I mean by this is the way that you perceive me is limited to the way that you perceive yourself. In other words, you could also say you can only meet me as deeply as you've met yourself. And those two are very similar sayings. But for example, if you view me as someone who is beautiful, who is talented, who's just, I don't know, like sharing my wisdom, doing good in the world, that's because you have that within yourself. You view yourself that way. And on the opposite hand, if someone were to pick at me and to feel threatened by me and try to bring me down in their own mind, that's because they're threatened by me and they want to bring me down to the level that they see themselves. And so when they're doing that, what they're really doing is reflecting how they feel about themselves. They're trying to make the perception of me lower because they have a low perception of themselves. Now, if you're somebody who knows that you're a kind person, who knows that you're pure at heart, then you're going to be able to recognize that in other people and to not dim other people's light because you have that light within yourself and you are able to recognize that. Now, this can go a lot deeper in terms of the surface level that you view people on and being able to see people past the surface level. And so what I mean by that is you may perceive me as someone who's, I don't know, this beautiful girl on YouTube who's sharing her wisdom and she's artistic, she's earthy, blah, blah, blah. All of those things are surface level things because they're perceived through the eyes of the world, basically. And what I mean by that is rather than seeing me for the surface level things, to view things deeper, you need to be able to recognize that we are more than just anything that's surface level, and to view the other person as a soul and to view them as part of yourself. Like I said, we are all part of the same whole. We are all part of the same consciousness. We are all part of the same energy. We're all just put into different bodies, but we are all just experiencing this life through different lenses. And so when you view the other person through that lens, through knowing that they are a soul, through knowing that they are a spiritual being just like you, that's when you're able to fully understand people and to fully be more empathetic and to connect with people on a deeper level. And that doesn't mean that you have to absolutely love them and hang out with them all the time, but it's like you understand where they're coming from and you understand who they are truly. See, I can view other women as beautiful and talented and amazing people because I don't feel threatened by it. And that's not because I think that I'm better than them, and that's not because I think that they are, I don't know, like there's nothing to be threatened about, but I mean, there is nothing to be threatened about, but I don't view them on a surface level. I view them as spiritual beings. I view everyone as spiritual beings. I don't feel any type of threatening energy from anybody because I view everyone as me. And when you view everyone as you can't be threatened because they're just you who has lived a different life. They are just you who has experienced different things that led them to be the way that they are. And so someone could literally be talking to me and they might be angry, they might be really upset at the world, they might be complaining, they might be judging me or someone else, and I'll be able to recognize that and not judge them for it, not see them for that surface level, and to view them as who they truly are as a being. To view them as more than just their problems, I guess you could say. Someone on my Instagram asked me a question and they were like, why does your bio say your mirror? And I told them my bio says your mirror because how you perceive me is how you perceive yourself. You perceive me through the lens that you perceive yourself. And how you view my page, regardless if it is only highlights, and regardless if it is only good pictures and blah blah blah, if you're only able to perceive me through that lens, that's just how you perceive yourself, artificially. If you're able to recognize that, one, social media is so, it's not fake, but it's just, it is a highlight reel. And also being able to realize that I am a spiritual being and that I am also you. I am also you. And if you feel threatened by what I post, that's a reflection of you. That's a reflection of how you feel towards yourself. If you start to nitpick at my page or try to find flaws in me, that's because that's what you do to yourself. Now, if you can view me as deeper than that, great. But that's what I mean by how you perceive me is how you perceive yourself. And even on days where I start to get into a low frequency and I start to get into this negative loop pattern of criticizing myself or comparing myself to somebody else, I'm able to easily alchemize those thoughts because everything is me, just in different forms. And like I said, we are all part of the same energy. And what I really mean by that is we are all different cups. It all comes in different shapes, sizes, colors, and we all have the same water poured in each of us. We all may have different aspects to ourselves, but we all have the same energy. We all come from the same source. And so knowing that we are all really just one, I can never be upset at somebody else's success, because at the end of the day, when you know that we are all one, when you see someone else's success, you know that that is also your success. You should be happy that someone else is successful or beautiful or happy even. And just know that it's for the elevation. What's the word? No. Elevation of the collective consciousness. And that is what we're here to do, to elevate and to grow and become better versions of ourselves. So to be upset that someone else is happy, or to be upset that someone else is glowing, or anything like that, you only have that opinion because you see them as separate from you. And so you seeing them as separate from you makes you feel smaller, makes you feel like just because someone else is put on a higher pedestal means that you're on a lower pedestal. No. There's actually only one pedestal, and we're all standing on it. Earth. The fact that we are all here on the same earth. We're all on the same pedestal. We are all one. There is no difference. And I'm gonna go deeper into this aspect, into this idea, in a future video called The Illusion of Separation, which is probably gonna be the next video after this. But it's important to know that all these insecurities are all taught to us. They're literally all taught to us and projected onto us, because when we're born, we literally are pure. We do not find anything wrong with us. We do not think that anything is wrong with us until we are told that something is wrong about ourselves. And so all of these thoughts that you may have about yourself or another person, all of that is just taught. They're not real. It's just taught from a different person, making you perceive that that's the right way to think. For example, for me, when I was a child, I used to get not really bullied, but it was like subtle bullying about the way that I looked, about the way that my hair looked, and specifically, and my eyebrows, because my eyebrows were thicker back then, and my hair used to be more frizzy. I didn't really know how to take care of it, and people would make certain comments, tell me that I'm not doing my hair right, or tell me that my hair was frizzy, and my eyebrows were just too thick and blah blah blah. And I had no problem with the way that I looked before someone said that. And it all starts very, very young. It all starts very, very young. I can literally go back to certain memories where someone said something to me that made me feel a certain way, and which led me to have all these insecurities about myself. And when I think about it deeper, a lot of it came from other children. And a lot of the children were also projecting how they felt about themselves, because they were also told things about themselves, probably from other friends or family. And so I started to get really depressed and insecure about my hair and the way that I looked, and I just started to place a whole lot of value on the way that I looked, because I believed that that determined my worth. And if I think about it, back then kids were very, very brutal, because that's what they were told was right and what was wrong. And so when they seen something that was considered wrong in their eyes, they would point it out, because that was projected onto them. That's why bullies bully other kids, because that's what they were told about themselves. When we were younger, it was such a birthing ground for insecurities. It was such a birthing ground for insecurities, especially if you were around a lot of other kids, because we all collectively project onto each other and birth all these insecurities within each other. But now I'm glad that you're listening to this to understand that now whenever somebody is, for example, angry or is judgmental or is acting erratically, you're able to recognize that that comes from somewhere. That comes from something within themselves that they have not healed, that they are dealing with, that they as a child had to deal with. And to view them kind of as, when they talk to you, this is how I view people. Whenever they talk to me, whenever someone talks to me, it might sound a little bit weird, but I literally view them as a soul talking to me. I see them as a soul talking to me, and anything that they are saying is simply a result of their own experiences and a result of their own inner beliefs. And so I do not have any judgment towards a person. Even if they say some weird comment, it might trigger me for like 1 second, but I'm able to realize like, oh, like you're just projecting. And I'm able to understand where these thoughts derive from, because that's where I have met myself. I'm able to meet them on that level because that's where I have met myself on that level. And that's not to say that I don't deal with my own things. Like I said earlier, I do have some times where I'll get into a low frequency and I'll get into a negative loop. But it's knowing that any type of projection is just a reflection of what I am going through, and just a reflection of how I see myself. And so there is an opportunity for growth there. There's an opportunity for me to reflect there. And so I don't view that as a bad thing either. If I do start to react to something, it's like I'm able to catch myself and say, what do I feel within myself? What is within myself that I have to heal? What is within myself that is projecting this insecurity? Nothing is personal at all. Once you realize all these things, it's really hard to be offended. It's really hard to be offended because it's literally not personal at all. It's just all reflecting what they have within themselves. So it's really hard to be bothered by other people's presence or what other people say. So once you've done the work within yourself and you're able to recognize these things within yourself first, then it'll be so much easier to not have any judgment for anybody else. To recognize that anything that you're projecting, anything that you're feeling, any type of jealousy or any type of feeling or even surface level stuff is just a reflection of how you feel about yourself. And so everything is just reflecting back to you, and you're viewing everything, you're viewing yourself through everything around you. And this could even go deeper into not even just people. It could be the world. It could literally just be the world, life situations, everything. But I am focused on just people for this video. But it feels so much more beautiful and so much more whole. And you can't feel alone when you know that everyone is part of the same source. And we're all just viewing everything through different lenses. And you'll get to a point of viewing other people, or for me, whenever I'm in a group of people, or I'm in a room, or in an area where there's a lot of people, it's just interesting because all I see are just walking souls, and there's not an ounce of judgment, or even if there was for 1 second, I'm able to switch it to, they're just energetic beings. Like, everyone is just energetic beings, and they're all just me. And so there's a lot of empathy and love that comes with that, knowing that everyone deserves to be loved, you know? Like, there's not a person who doesn't deserve to be loved. In this book that I've read called The New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, he really talks about this, and I highly recommend this book. It's one of my favorite books because it was one of the first books that really made me understand oneness and understand just kind of how we view ourselves and just society and everything. That book covers a lot of topics. But basically, one of the things that book taught me is that if we didn't see each other as separate, and if we understood who we actually were, which is energetic beings, which is eternal beings, and we're all part of the same one, there would be no wars. There would be no hate. There would be no type of hate whatsoever. And it would just be a lot easier to be in harmony with other people. It's just really great to have that perspective and to really just feel love for every person that you meet. And that doesn't mean that you gotta be not careful of who you meet, but just always be in a place of love. It's a great frequency to be in, to put it simply. So everything is just an underlying lesson. There's a lesson in everything that you perceive, and instead of internalizing things, use it to gain awareness. Use everything to gain awareness. Yeah. I think that is it. I think that's all of the aspects of that topic when it comes to people that I am going to talk about. I think I'm going to talk about how everything is a reflection of you, not even just people. But it really all just is the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same type of idea that everything is just a projection of how you feel about yourself. When it comes to the world, when it comes to any type of situations, how positive you are when it comes to certain situations, how negative you are. It's just all a reflection of how you feel within towards yourself. And so, yeah, with that being said, you are amazing for being here. You are amazing for still being here if you're still here. And I'm so grateful that you listened, and I'm so grateful that I got the chance to connect with you and that you heard this message. And I really hope that it resonated with you in some sort of way. And if it did, let me know in the comments, or let me know your thoughts. And yeah, we're just one big family here, and I'm really focusing on being my authentic self, not only for myself but for the sake of connecting with people, because how can I connect with people when I'm not connected to myself? See, it's just all a reflection. It's just all a reflection. So yeah, I'm grateful that you're here, and I am excited for the future. And if you enjoyed this video, subscribe or don't, but I'm just glad that you watched it. Keep being amazing, and I will see you in the next video. I'm gonna try to be as consistent as possible, but